Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to a new playthrough on the channel. After our baseball trip to Houston in 2013 last week via Inside Pitch Baseball, we're going to move to a very different time and a very different game. Today we're going to start on my Tac Up Wargaming List for 2024 with game number 1 as we play Fleet Commander Nimitz from DVG. In this game, we take control of the U.S. Pacific Fleet using in the role of Admiral Chester Nimitz, hence the title of the game. We have our choice of campaigns for 1942 to 45 in this game, but we're going to be going through 1942. I'm still very much learning this game, so this is not going to be any kind of tutorial video. Hopefully it won't be too rough, and I'm sure I'll make some mistakes, but please be nice in the comments section down below with any kind of criticism you might have on mistakes I make in this game. Anyway, I think we're all set to move over to the main game area, so let's take a look over there. Everything looks good in here on the final shot. We've got various groups of ships set up around the board. If I went through every single unit that was on the board, that would probably be a 3-hour video, so we're not going to do that today. But I think we're all set. I've got a couple of arrow tokens marking where things are. We've got our objectives set up. We've got the Hawaiian Islands, which is well hidden over here, but that's currently U.S. controlled. Midway Island, I don't think... Let me just double check how the statuses work. So if there's any Japanese, if there's any... As the only infantry or land-based aircraft, okay, so Midway Island is also ours. The Hawaiian Islands is currently ours. The Gilbert Islands currently belong to the Japanese because they have the only infantry unit ashore. We also have Samoa down here, which is right now our objective, along with New Caledonia. We've got land-based aircraft and an infantry unit there. Solomon Islands is also ours for the time being. New Guinea is currently in conflict, which is not held by either side. And then we've also got Midway Island, which is a U.S.-held objective, and Alaska, which is currently U.S.-held. So, the only units that are off limits for us, I believe, are... Actually, holding an area. We hold an area if we meet all three of the conditions. Infantry or land-based aircraft ashore, no Japanese aircraft, and the area is in supply. Right, hopefully it'll explain what in supply means. We must be able to trace an uninterrupted path of U.S.-held areas from the west coast leading up to the area. Okay. Which, so far, we can with all of these. We'll have to do something about the Gilbert Islands pretty quickly, but that's a problem we can sort out a little bit later. We do have our campaign evaluation. I'm going to be looking at that off camera, where if we ever hold 3 or fewer objectives when we're checking for defeat, then we'll automatically be replaced, which seems... That might be a little bit harsh, but we'll find out what happens there soon enough. You'll probably hear me flipping through the rulebook a lot, because like I said, I'm still very much learning this game. So, I think we're all set to get into this one, so let's start off with the first turn of 1942. We'll start off by advancing the turn counter into January, February. U.S. resupply, this is where we get our reinforcement and supply points. For the 1942 campaign, we'll get 20 supply points and 7 reinforcement points. I wish there was a separate place to put those. So we've got 10 and 20 and 7 reinforcement points. So we can only use the reinforcement points. So we can only use the reinforcement points to buy reinforcements, but we can also use supply points to buy additional reinforcements. Okay, so we've got U.S. Scouting, which allows us to spend supply points for... which will allow us to spend a supply point to place a scouting counter on any area with enemy forces. So, I think we're going to spend... Those forces in the Caroline Islands are getting a little bit close for comfort. But I think I also want to know where New Guinea is moving. So we're going to spend at least 2 supply points to bring us down to 18. Actually, that can flip like that. Let me grab a 3. Yep, right there. So I'm going to put scouting counters once I find where the devil I put them. Here we are. There's a total of 4 4 scout counters because there's a maximum of 4. That makes sense. So I can put these on an area with enemy enforcements. So I'm going to put one on the... I'm going to put one on the Caroline Islands and one in New Guinea. Actually, are they going to... Is anything that's in an area with U.S. forces going to move? There's only one Japanese infantry. I think we could still use the scouting counter on New Guinea because they'll still have plenty of units there. Can I move its infantry out of areas that also contain... So they can move land-based aircraft. So obviously the 55th Infantry Division for Japan is staying put. I think I'm going to spend another point to scout the Philippines. See what they're doing. And I think we're going to spend our last point for another... Wait. That should be... So I should be at 6... I'm going to be at 16 by the time I get done with... scouting. So we're going to put a counter on... No, we're not going to spend that supply point. I think we're fine. I think I'm fine with 3 scouting counters right now. So with that in mind, we'll move down to the Japanese scouted orders. So we scouted, bring the smaller dice tower and shot. Actually, I wonder if we could get the normal tower in here. Let's try it. I'll leave the backup tower here in case I need it, but I want to see if I can get the bigger tower in here. This is a little smaller than I think I was expecting, so we can get the normal tower in here. So now I'll go ahead and roll scouted orders for the Japanese forces. We scouted in the Caroline Islands, the Philippines, and New Guinea. So we'll go ahead and scout out the Caroline Islands first to see what they're doing. There's a whole reference sheet over here. All right, at 2 means they're holding. So the Japanese will actually gain a resupply. That's for the Caroline Islands, so they're staying put. Which I believe that gets replaced. Does that get replaced now, or... There's a resupply counter in the resupply box. Must be hidden. I must have hidden it with the tower. Yep. I did hide it with the tower. All right, replace all in transit. Placing a moved. Place all in transit counters with moved. Okay. Japan can't move its infantry out of areas that contain U.S. forces. So we're scouting New Guinea, which means the 55th Infantry is stuck there. But they can move their aircraft out. So I believe we put a... Do we put an in... This still isn't making complete sense to me. So roll Japanese orders, flip the scouting counter to its transit side. Okay, so I guess we do place a transit counter now that we've rolled for that. Alright, then rolling for New Guinea. Like I said, the infantry can't move, but... we can... I believe we can move the land-based aircraft out. So we'll see if any of the land-based aircraft is moving. A 10 is a closest objective with U.S. forces present, which is actually right here anyway. So they're staying... So that's for 0 or 2 if there are Japanese forces ashore. They're actually staying put. At least 2 of them are. So the first 2 that we rolled there are staying put. We'll still have to roll orders for the other forces anyway, and then the last one we scouted was in the Philippines. So let's see what they're doing. A 4 says they're moving 1 south. So they're moving 3 ships, an infantry, and 0 or 2. They have Japanese forces ashore. I don't think they can move their last infantry out. Placing a moved counter on each area that is only 1 Japanese infantry. So the infantry is staying put. 16th Infantry is staying put, but they can move 3 ships and 2 land-based aircraft. So they're moving all 3 of their ship units and 2 of their land-based air down to Borneo. So we also place a moved on the battalion. I think we're going to start placing moved units all around. I believe we start the step off with that. Anything that has 1 Japanese infantry ashore can't move. So we're moving all of that down one closer to Australia, except for Australia. So they're moving. Okay, so they're moving to Borneo, which that'll get replaced with a moved counter. Actually, as will that. I'm definitely going to need more moved counters for these, which is part of why I'm going to be also using some pink blocks here to help me some pink cubes to help me denote what units have moved. Okay. All right, I think that is all of them. So yeah, they're staying put as well. Yeah, that's all the scouting that we were able to do. So now we move into U.S. movement. I'm going to bring the dice tower out of the way for the time being. The normal tower should work fine on this board, but when I move over to the battle board, it's probably not going to. So for U.S. movement, do I want to try... The question here is, do I want to try to take the Gilbert Islands from the Japanese now? I probably should. So I think we're going to bring... I can't move the last infantry out of the Hawaiian Islands, I don't think. Alright, so I can't move... Actually, it looks like I could, but it probably would be obscenely stupid to do so. Oh, wait. Resupply. think I'm able to purchase forces during that. Yeah, I would actually have been able to purchase during the... Yeah, okay, so I would have been able to purchase forces during the resupply phase. Oh well. We'll probably do some resupply. We'll probably be purchasing a lot of reinforcements for March, April. Just, I guess, thematic accuracy that the U.S. war machine hadn't quite woken up yet in 1942. So, I think the question here is what to do. We can spend supply points, I believe, for... Yep, to move. So, I think right now I only want to have the one battle in the Gilbert Islands that's close to me. So, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get any forces ashore this round. But we're rolling for a lot of Japanese orders this turn. So I think we're going to see if we can do a little bit of dogfighting. So we're going to spend 2 supply points to move 2 units of land-based aircraft from the Hawaiian Islands over to the Gilbert Islands. So that'll bring me down to 15 supply points. Do I think anything's landing there ship-wise? Most likely not. So I think... we could try to go to the Caroline Islands, but I don't want to leave... I don't want to try to trace a supply line... I don't want to try to do anything crazy in terms of moving a supply line and having a unit not being able to trace supply. So, I think with that in mind, Japan and East Asia are going to be busy rolling orders, that's for sure. I think I am going to move a few ships over to the Gilbert Islands, so I'm going to spend 3 supply points to go down to 12. To bring 3 ships from the Hawaiian Islands. Which 3 do I want to move? I think the Enterprise, the Desron 6, and the Lexington are fine. We'll bring them to the Gilbert Islands. Actually, we are going to have a battle over in New Guinea that we could probably use some support with. So I think we're going to spend another 3 to go down to 9. I'll bring the cruiser group Chicago Northampton, the San Francisco Astoria, and the New Orleans Minneapolis. We'll bring them over to... We'll send them over to New Guinea, just in case things go crazy back there. And I think that'll do it for my first turn. So now we roll for Japanese orders. Here's where we're going to be busy. So here, I think here I want the smaller tower just to be on the safe side, which I put over here. So what doesn't have moved counters on them? I think the forces over in... Let's start off with the Philippines and see what they're doing. That's a bunch of land-based aircraft over there that can move. A 4 means they're moving south, so that lone battalion over in Borneo is about to get swarmed with... We can move 2 land-based aircraft, so we're going to move the Kanoya Kokutai and the 24th Sentai down to Borneo. So they've moved, but we still have land-based aircraft in the Philippines that needs orders. We're going to roll for them. One is a hold for 3 land-based aircraft, and that's the last 3 up in the Philippines. So they're going to get their they're going to get an order to stay put. That's it for them. Now let's move over to East Asia, where the Japanese forces can move their last infantry out of East Asia and Japan. So we're going to have to roll for orders a few times for East Asia and especially for Japan. A 7 is 2 ships, an infantry, and 0 or 2 land-based aircraft, which they're going to be moving. 2 of those are going to join a battle. I believe they go join the... Move to an area that has both U.S. and Japanese forces. We have the destination area, so I was assuming it was the starting area, but it's actually the destination. They also move up to 2 land-based aircraft. Alright, so they're bringing 2 ships. Bringing 2 ships and infantry. So they're going to be swarming us in Borneo. Let's not pretend otherwise here. That lone battalion is kind of a sitting duck at this point. So this is where I'm going to grab the cube to start indicating what units have moved. Then we've got to roll for East Asia again. That's a 9. They're going to reinforce an objective with Japanese forces ashore, with 2 ships, an infantry, and 2 land-based aircraft, except they don't have any land-based infantry. So I think a 9 is just an objective with Japanese forces ashore. So they're actually going to reinforce New Guinea with 2 ships and infantry. So they're moving to New Guinea. That's going to be a disaster. That's a disaster waiting to happen at this point. So those units have moved. And we've still got more ships up in East Asia. This is going to be ugly. A 7, they're joining a battle again. 2 infantry, or 2 ships and infantry, and any land-based aircraft they've got. So the nearest battle right now is probably, does it just say join a battle? Move to an area that has both. Yeah, I think they're just going to move to... Actually, a better idea for them would probably be to move to the Gilbert Islands. Because they've got Japanese forces ashore there. And they can actually trace a line to get there. And then we've got 3 ships left in East Asia. Let's see what they're doing. Closest U.S. forces with 3 ships. So closest U.S. forces looks to be Borneo once again. That's all kinds of fun. And then before we roll for Japan, since I know that's going to take a while and probably run into the time threshold for this, I need to take a small break. We're probably going to have to make at least 3 or 4 reinforcement rolls in Japan. So let's see what what Japan's doing. First up, a 10, 3 ships, an infantry, and 0 or 2 land-based aircraft to the closest objective with U.S. forces present. That will be New Guinea, and they'll be sending 3 ships. 1, 2, 3, and an infantry down to New Guinea. So we're facing... New Guinea looks to be an objective that's probably a lost cause at this point. Next roll for more Japanese forces. A 5 is moving closer to Hawaii. 1 closer to Hawaii that has Japanese forces ashore. And they're sending 2 ships and an infantry, so they're moving those 2 to Iwo Jima. And we've got more ships. 2 is a refit, so we've got 4 that are staying in Japan. 1, 2, 3, 4, so those 4 are staying put. Next, ships. A sortie, closest objective, 3 more ships. which is, actually the objective is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so closest objective with U.S. present is probably going to be... That actually might be Midway. I think it is Midway. All right, we've got still more ships there. A 7 is to join a battle, so that's 2 more ships. 2 more ships joining a battle, which they're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't think we care about the... No, we don't. So I think they're moving down to New Guinea as well. This is that New Guinea battle is going to be ugly. And 4 more ships left. 3, they're all staying in Japan without flipping, preferably. Okay, well, this is going to get pretty ugly. Now we have to resolve battles, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Yowza. All right, well, I think the best thing to do for us is to just work from right to left. So we're going to work from right to left and then north to south. So we're going to start off with our battle in the Midway Island, and for that, we need to go over to the battle map. So the first thing we need to do, we're at Midway, we need to move the U.S. forces, which consists of the lone MAG-22 Marine Air Group. So they move to land-based aircraft to U.S. island airfields. So U.S. airfields, and we place a counter to indicate how many number of aircraft. So it looks like it's just the 1. Yep, so just the 1 aircraft. That's going to be all kinds of fun. All right, so now we move Japanese forces, which is the 3 ships. We've got a CDL. So the Japanese forces, Japanese ship placement. So place all Japanese aircraft carriers, which we've got CDL. So those go in the Japanese Ocean, I believe. Cruiser with the lowest surface attack value, which I believe is the middle number. I just want to double check that. Yes, it's the middle number. So that goes in the coastal area. I believe that's everything. If there are no Japanese aircraft carriers present, but no Japanese infantry on... It's all Japanese ships in the ocean area. Okay, so for the CVs, we need to get an A6M, a D3A, and a B5N. That's their air mix. Then we've got a CDL there as well. They need an A6M and a D3A. Okay. So let's move U.S. battle forces to the map, Japanese forces to the map. Now we roll for battle turns. So I'll bring the dice tower in. A 6 means we're going to have 3 battle turns. That's great. And then Japanese battle plan draws. That's not a die roll, actually. They have, I believe it's 3 forces present, right? Only count forces that were transferred from the map. Okay. Don't count carrier-based. Okay, so the Japanese with 3 forces present, they get 1 battle plan. Then I believe we draw for that immediately. Okay, so each battle turn we draw that. Okay. So now we get 3 battle plan points to use freely. So I think with... Well... I think we're going to roll... I think we're going to buy Furball for 1, which will let a dogfight success inflict 1 extra hit. And I'm going to roll... I'm going to take a barrel roll as well. I'm actually, now that I look at it, I may want to spend... I may want to pick up a couple extra battle plans here, but it's probably not worth it because we only have the 1 air group ashore. So we're going to use a barrel roll, which will let us stop a hit on an aircraft. Okay. All right, so now we're at the start of our first battle turn, which means we draw Japanese battle plans. They only have the 1. Let's see what they draw. No contact, so no attacks in Japanese Ocean. Delightful. Okay, which means we're basically sitting, well, I wouldn't say we're sitting ducks, but we're definitely not looking very good here. So I'm going to send the MAG-22 air group. I guess the only spot I can move them to... ship attack, ground attack. Okay. So I guess the only spot I can move them to is the coastal area to try to work on this destroyer group. And move Japanese bombers. I believe they roll for Japanese bombers that have bomb values. So the B5N and the D3A are bombers. So I'm going to use my pink cubes once again to indicate what I've rolled for. So we're going to start off by rolling for the Kaga B5N once I bring the dice tower back in shot. We've got values over here that I need to be able to see where they're moving to. So that one's moving to the U.S. Ocean, which is going to find nothing there. Then the D3A, also moving to the U.S. Ocean, where they're not finding anything there. Then the D3A on the Hosho is also moving to the U.S. Ocean, where there's nothing there. And then moving the Japanese fighters, we've got 2 A6Ms. First, the one with the Kaga, also moving to the U.S. Ocean. Wait, that doesn't make sense. Oh, all the bombers on Japanese aircraft are considered to be one group. It does not have a U.S. target. It's increased to the next higher area. So both of these are going to move to the coastal area. Actually, I think all of these are going to end up in the coastal area. Which means they're going to be going after that MAG-22 air group. Then the A6M on the Hosho is also going to be moving into the coastal area. So that Marine air group is very much a sitting duck at this point. So we've rolled for all of that. And now we resolve combat by having our dogfights. Roll for their dogfight. Aircraft use their dogfight value to attack enemy aircraft. Actually, we do need those again, because now we need to know what we're rolling for on dogfights. Okay, that's going to be great. Alright, so we'll start off with the MAG-22 air group. It hits on a 3, actually, which is which? Okay, so I believe the... All right, so the dogfight value is actually up in the upper right corner. So they hit on a 3 or less, but if they roll a 2 or less, they inflict 2 hits. Which that's an 8, so that's not doing anything for them anyway. Then we'll roll for the first A6M, this one right here. That's a 9, so they don't hit, thankfully. And the A6M there is a 1, so that will be inflicting 2 hits, which we'll have to use the barrel roll to stop 1 hit, but that'll flip the Marine Air Group over to its damaged side. That's not great. Then anti-air. The Destroyer Group does have an anti-air value of 2, so if they roll a 2 or less, they inflict a hit. That's a 5, so nothing happening there. Then bombing runs, which I believe would be now attack the land or naval forces in their area. There's nothing in the coastal area for them to attack, for the Japanese aircraft to attack with a bombing run. But we do have the Destroyer Group that we can attack. We need to roll 2 or less to inflict a bombing hit. That's a 6, so we're not doing anything there. Don't have any torpedoes, depth charges. Naval guns, I believe, would be attacking in the coastal area, can attack enemy ships and enemy island forces. But I don't believe they can attack the... Nope, I don't think they can attack the airfield. Can they? No. They can't. Right, so infantry advances, return aircraft, inflict airfield losses, so these aircraft go back. Right, I believe D3As are on both of them. The A6Ms also have both, and the B3N goes with the CV. Okay, so now we advance the turn counter, so we're on battle turn 2, which means now we draw for a new battle plan for the Japanese. Pre-attack for 1 carrier group, which I believe the 10. Where is that? Oh, here we go. Japanese aircraft carrier with the most aircraft immediately perform air attacks. The group automatically receives an area roll of 10. So the carrier group would be the Kaga, but they would advance to... They would get upgraded to the coast because there's nobody in U.S. Ocean. Right now they're in the coastal area, and there's the MAG-22 group that they can attack coastal. They need a 4 or less to hit and a 2 superscript, which is a 9, so nothing happening there. That's fortunate for us. U.S. aircraft. Ugh, this is terrible. This is bad. Because that MAG-22 air group is very much a sitting duck at this point. So we're actually there at this point. I think we're going to... leave it as is. Like I said, that air group is probably a sitting duck at this point. So move Japanese bombers. We've got these two aboard the Kaga. Where are they moving to? And 8 means they're moving back to the U.S. Ocean, but coming right back to the coastal area because there are no U.S. targets in the U.S. Ocean. Then we've got the D3A aboard the Hosho. Which they're, see previous answer, they're moving to the U.S. Ocean, moving up to the coast. Then the fighter group aboard the Hosho. 2 is staying in the Japanese Ocean. Actually, next highest area would probably cycle back, I think. So yeah, the A6M is moving into the coastal area. So I think these all rolled U.S. Ocean, but they didn't have anything there. Let me just double check how that works. I'm pretty sure I cycled them the wrong way the first time. No ships in the Japanese Ocean, next higher movement. Okay, so... yeah, I think they do cycle back to the Japanese Ocean. Then we also got the fighter group aboard the Kaga. 4 is moving over to the island, but there's nothing there, so they're moving back to the coast. Which is very much leaving that Marine Air Group a sitting duck. Dogfighting. So we'll roll for the MAG Air Group first. Actually, these can all Marine Air Group first. So we can get these out of the way. Oop, get it in the tower. That's a 1, so we do inflict a total of... so we're going to use Furball to inflict 3 hits. Which means we will get 3 hits on that when we go to inflict... oh no, I think we inflict them now. Well, we'll roll for the dogfight, but we'll inflict hits now. We'll inflict hits after we roll for the hits. So the A6M is a 1, which means the Marine Air Group's going to be taken out anyway. Then the Kaga, then the A6M with the Kaga. 6 would inflict another hit. So we would take out an A6M, but that's not really going to matter. Our Marine Air Group, though, is lost. So they're going to go, I believe do they go back to reinforcements, or do they get destroyed? I believe they get destroyed. So back to the bottom of the land-based aircraft pile. That's not great. So now the Japanese hold Midway, which is a big problem for us. Delightful. Right, so we're going to have another reckoning at Midway, it looks like, next turn. So with that all done, let's move back to the main map. Midway is now being held by Japanese forces, which is a huge problem for us, because we're now 1 away from having them crash into the Hawaiian Islands, which would be an insta-lose, if we lose the Hawaiian Islands. Well, actually, it wouldn't be quite an insta-lose. We'd have to destroy everything there. But we wouldn't be too far from just an insta-lose at that point. So, with that in mind, now we're going to move to our next battle. We're going to move down to the Gilbert Islands. And with that, we're going to move right back over to the battle map. Okay, first order of business is moving everything over to the map. So we're going to need a transport for the 8th Infantry. So actually, we move the... I'll put that there. No, that's here. So first we move U.S. ship forces over to the battle map. Let's see, we've got a CV group. We've got a couple of CV groups. They'll set up in the U.S. Ocean. Then the destroyers will set up in either the U.S. or coastal area as we see fit. I'm going to set them up here. Let's see, we have also a couple of land-based air group. We've got Marine Air Group 21 and 18th Fighter Group, which they'll go in the U.S. airfields, and we need a value of 2 for that. And I believe that's all of our U.S. forces moved over. We actually need another transport ship for the Japanese. We can also take the moved counter off. All right, so now we're moving the Japanese forces over to the battle map. Okay, let's get the air groups for the CVs. So we need F4F. We need Wildcat, 2 Dauntless, and a TBD, and we're going to need one for each of these. Oop. Come on. Alright, we'll grab that for the other group as well. Oop. Grabbed 2 of the wrong one, so it should be 2 of these. Okay, now that we've got that figured out. Okay, so now we've got that set up. Now we start moving Japanese forces over. So land-based aircraft, I don't think Japan had any. No, looks like they've got all infantry and naval groups. So I don't think we have any Japanese. No, we do have a CVL present in the Gilbert Islands. So we get a CVL up in the Japanese Ocean. They get an A6M and a D3A. Okay. We've also got a cruiser group. They set up in with the lowest surface attack, so that's the only one in the Japanese Ocean. So they set up there. Then the infantry, the battalion and the 48th Infantry, both set up in there should be something for Japanese infantry. They're not in the coastal area. You can place more than 1 infantry counter on a transport, so we only need the 1 transport. So they're going to land in, they're going to set up in the coastal area. Okay, so Japanese forces are there. Now we roll for battle turns. That's a 1, so we're only going to have 1 battle turn, which is something, I guess. Japanese battle plans. They have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups present. So they'll have access to 1 battle plan. Then we'll select U.S. battle plans. Let's roll for. Let's take. What do I want here? I think. I think we'll take extra, and we'll take anti-aircraft, which will give us an extra anti-air attack for a ship. And do I think I need to defend the airfield? Probably not with 1 turn. We'll take ranging shots. A ship's surface attack success inflicts 1 extra hit. Say that 5 times fast. And we'll take furball again. Okay, so we're into our 1 and only battle turn. So the Japanese will draw their battle plan. I've got my cup right here. Artillery, which requires infantry ashore, 1 successful infantry attack. So I believe they would get that automatically. I would think. Yeah, if they have infantry ashore during the infantry attack phase, the U.S. takes 1 hit to an infantry or airfield. Okay, so now we're moving U.S. aircraft. So we're going to move the bombers. So actually, they're all bombers. I think we're going to move them. Where do I want to move them? I think we're going to move them to. I think we're going to move the bombers around the Enterprise, and they're all bombers. We're going to move them to the Japanese Ocean. I want to try to take out 1 of these ships. I also want to try to. Actually, I want to move. Just double checking that. any area on the battle sheet. Okay. Actually, I'm going to send all the bombers after the ships so we can try to drive them off. All right, now we have to see where the Japanese bombers are moving. So they've got a bomber on the D3, on the Ryuho. A 4 means they're moving to the coast, which they do have a force there. Oh, I forgot to move the U.S. Air Group. I think we're going to move them to the coastal area so I can have them try to take out these. So I can try to have them take out the infantry units. All right, then for the fighter group aboard the Ryujo, a 1 means they're staying in the Japanese Ocean, which there's going to be plenty for them to do this round. So we start off with combat. First, we'll roll for the dogfighting results. We've got the Wildcat. We've got 2 Wildcats that we need to roll for here. So we'll roll for them. First, they hit on a 5 with a superscript of a 3. That's a 9, so that one isn't doing anything. How about the other Wildcat? That's a 2, so they're inflicting 2 hits. So I'm going to grab an extra die. I'm going to use an orange die for US hits. So they're inflicting 2 hits on dogfighting. Then we've got the fighter group up here, the Japanese fighter group. They hit on an 8 with a superscript of 4, so they're getting 2 hits as well. Which I believe when we're allocating hits, we have to apply it to the lowest cost aircraft. 1 hit flips it or destroys it. Okay, so we're taking out... So we take out the Japanese fighter group. We should take out the Japanese carrier-based fighter group. And then we take out 1 of ours. We'll take out... Well, it doesn't matter what we take out. We'll just take out a Wildcat group because why not? Then we've got anti-air. So both the Ryujo and the Mogami Mizukuma cruiser groups have anti-air. So the Ryujo first has a 2 superscript 1, which means it'll inflict 2 hits. That's a 3, so it's doing nothing. How about the Mogami Mikuma cruiser group? Also not doing anything. It only had a value of a 5. Okay, so now we go into bombing runs, which means this is where we're going to be busy. So this is where we're going to need a lot of blocks. Or a lot of cubes, I should say. Because almost everything we've got in there has bombing value. So first up, we'll roll for the Wildcat. They have a bombing value of a 2. I believe that's the brown numbers. Yes. No. Wait, what? Oh, ground attack. Uses their ship attack value to attack enemy ships. Okay, so it's the blue number. So the Wildcat needs a 1, which it doesn't get, gets a 10. Then we've got the TBD. Actually, we'll start marking. So the Wildcat's done. The TBD needs a 3, which that's a 1, so they're inflicting a hit. Then the last TBD will roll for that as well. Also needs a 3. No, nothing doing there. Now for the Dauntless craft, we've got 1, 2... So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, which means we're rolling on a... Oh wait, we had an anti-air from the Desron trying to hit this D3A. We'll back up and roll for that real quick. Nothing doing there. Okay. Now back to our ship attack. So this Dauntless, actually we rolled for these guys. So now we got the SBD needs a 4 or less. That's an 8. This Dauntless needs a 4 or less. Nope. We are rolling like absolute crap today. This one needs a 4 or less. That's a 1, so that will actually inflict a hit. And then this one needs a 1 or less, or 4 or less. That's a 1, so we're inflicting 3 hits. Which means we're going to take this cruiser out. That'll flip like so, and then be destroyed. And then that one will flip. So that'll go to the bottom of the pile. So that's all done. Moving down to the coastal area, we've got the D3A that needs a 4 or less. That's a 10, nothing doing there. Now for the fighter group needs a 1. That's a 5, nothing happening there. Then the Marine Air Group needs a 4 or less. That's a 10, nothing doing there. All right, so there's bomb runs, torpedoes, depth charges, naval guns, infantry. I don't think infantry can even attack enemy infantry. Oh, they can only allocate hits against enemy infantry if they're currently friendly infantry. Oh, they could, because there are currently land-based aircraft present. Right, so the infantry would move to the foxholes. The infantry would move to the foxholes, move infantry on a transport. Actually, they'd move to the island beach. So they'd move there. Move infantry, yep. Okay, so now we return aircraft. Infantry advance. Return aircraft. So everything now ventures back. Alright, so they go back to U.S. airfields. We're back to cruiser groups. Alright, inflict airfield losses. We didn't have any to inflict. Then we advance the battle counter, except now the battle's over because we only had the 1 turn. So, with that, we can move back to the main map. We've got 2 more battles coming up here. The Gilbert Islands have now gone kind of to the birds on us. Not completely to the birds, but definitely problematic. Midway Island has gone sideways on us. Next up, let's move over to New Guinea, and as you can see, that's probably going to be a short battle the wrong way. For sake of speeding up the video a little bit, I moved the forces over to the battle map off camera. I'll probably do that when we go up to Borneo as well, which will be likely an even shorter battle than this will be, and probably even more likely the wrong way. Anyway, first order of business on camera is we need to roll for battle turns. 9 is going to be 4 turns. That's very bad for us. Then we determine Japanese battle plan draws. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 groups present. So they're going to get 3 battle plans. The question is, how hard do I fight to hold this? Because I think even with our best efforts, we're probably not going to. Yikes. Oh, well, I think we're going to take engaged for 3 to adjust the battle. Well, yeah, to adjust the battle duration by 1. This way we can try to shorten our way out of this one. And then I'm going to sit on... this is an objective, actually. I should probably try to fight pretty hard for this one. I think we're going to spend another 3... I think we're going to spend 3 supply points to go down to 6 to pick up a diving attack. Which a bombing success will inflict 1 additional hit. Right? So I think we're all set there. We're going to go into drawing Japanese battle plans. So we've got 2, 3, and 4 battle plans. Okay. So once I get my plans organized, I'll show you guys which ones I've drawn. So here are the 4 battle plans for the first round. Ship combat, +3 and +2 on anti-air and naval gun rolls. No contact, no attacks in Japanese Ocean. First light, pre-attack for 1 carrier group, and they roll a 10 for the area. And carrier attack, all bombers roll a 10 for their area. So, we'll move those there. And we'll be able to skip right through moving U.S. aircraft, but before we move into moving Japanese bombers, I need to change my battery. Alright, so now we're moving our aircraft, and we have to remember that Japanese bombers are all rolling a 10 for their area, which they'd be landing in the U.S. Ocean, but since they don't have any targets there, actually, they might actually loop until they find a target. Let me just double check this, but all the fighter aircraft on each aircraft carrier are considered to be one group. So all bombers on a Japanese aircraft carrier are considered to be one group. I separate them by the aircraft, by the carrier that they're based on. Does not have any role that places a Japanese aircraft in an area that does not have a U.S. target gets increased to the next higher area. So, okay, so it looks like they just move. Okay, so the bombers all roll a 10 for their target. So all of my bombers, actually I think would stay put because they'd try to move to the U.S. Ocean, but they wouldn't be able to, so they would just move to, so they would just, oh, these are actually land-based aircraft because I'm very dumb. They're already based there. So the bombers would actually try to move to, all the bombers would try to move to the U.S. Ocean, but there's nothing there. So they would get upgraded to the next area, which would be, so I think they would just move to the the Japanese Ocean, looping around the list. All right, so now we move Japanese fighters. You've got the A6M aboard the Shokaku. 3 is going to move it to the coast, which there are U.S. targets there, so they can go there. Then the A6M aboard the Shoho. The 7 will move it to the U.S. Ocean, except it'll loop back to the Japanese Ocean. Then for the 59 Sentai, a 9 would move to the U.S. Ocean, but it would loop back to the Japanese Ocean. Then the Tainen Kokutai is a 6. It'll move to the coast as well, except there are no targets. Actually, that's a dogfight. Those are dogfight ratings, so I think they move to the ocean, not able to find anybody, and then they move there. All right, so dogfighting up first. We don't have any dogfighting to worry about. Actually, we should have moved these guys. We'll move them to the coast and see what we can do with them. So no dogfighting happens. Then we've got anti-air, which we've got the Nagato Mutsu battleship group, who needs a 2 or higher to hit, which that's a cocked die. That's a 6, nothing happening there. The EC and the Hyuga, that's a 6, nothing happening for them either. So I'll mark that they've, the marking is probably less useful than I think. Now we've got bombing runs. So all these guys try to bomb, but nothing happening there. The battle groups both need a 1. So first up, we'll roll for the Royal Australian Air Force Bomber Group. That's a 2, just misses. The Royal Army Air Force Fighter Group. Also doesn't roll anything. No torpedoes, depth charts, naval guns. We've got some naval guns with the cruiser groups. New Orleans, Minneapolis needs a... Actually, all of them need a 4 or less. So the New Orleans, Minneapolis first. There's a 10, nothing doing there. Chicago, Northampton. There's a 1, so they'll inflict a hit on one of the groups. Which we can do because we do have land-based aircraft ashore. And the San Francisco Astoria gets a 4, so they also inflict a hit. They'll take out the 38th Infantry. That should be on the bottom of the stack, Phoenix. There we go. Okay, so that's naval guns, infantry, trying to roll an attack on the airfields. You need a 4 or less, that's a 5, so nothing happening there. Infantry advances, which means the battalions will end up on the beach. Transport's no longer needed. Then we'll return aircraft. So your land-based, 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 land. That should be a 4 for the Japanese. I forgot to place that. And then ships don't move. Okay, let me just double check my carrier groups. Or my air groups. So the CVL should have an A6M and a D3A, which is over here. CVL should have that. Okay, I think we're all set there. So we don't have any airfield losses to inflict, and then we advance the turn counter. Japanese are drawing their battle plans once again. And they get 4 more. Actually, they had +3. No, it's probably fine. Let's see, that should be 4 battle plans. Yep. Okay, looking at the battle plans they've got this time, they've got a screening ship that can stop 1 hit inflicted on a carrier, save that for future use. I believe that means we keep that out. Let me just double check that. If no aircraft carriers, use the next time the aircraft carrier is hit during battle. Okay, so they still draw. Then we've got submarine warfare, +4, +2 on torpedo and depth charges. Air combat, +3, +2 on dogfight and bomb rolls. And infantry combat, +3, +2 on infantry rolls. That sounds like fun. One thing I will say about this game is it's definitely thematically accurate, where, like I said earlier, in 1942, the U.S. war machine hadn't woken up yet. Moving U.S. aircraft, I want to move them to... moving them into the Japanese Ocean would be an invitation to suicide. I think we'll move them into the coastal area. I think we'll do that. Then we move Japanese Japanese bombers. They have to roll for area this time. So the bombers aboard the Shokaku. A 2, they're staying in the Japanese Ocean, but they're actually getting upgraded to the coastal area, which they can work on the cruiser groups, the U.S. cruiser groups. The bombers aboard the Shoho. A 4 is moving them to the island, where they can work over the airfields. Then the bomber group over on board the Zuho, on board the Zuiho, is a 10, would move them to the U.S. Ocean, but they'll loop back to the Japanese Ocean and stay put. Then moving fighters, we've got the fighter aboard the Shokaku. A 9, same thing. It loops back to the Japanese Ocean. Then for the Shoho, a 10, nothing there, loops back to the Japanese Ocean. The Zuiho, oh, I forgot to roll for the... Where did this bomber group land? I don't think I ever rolled for it. A 1 keeps it there, but it'll move to the coast. Great. All right, then the fighter group aboard the Zuiho is a 2, moves to the ocean, but it also moved to the coast. That's not good. Okay, I believe that's everything. So now we have combat, and we've got some dogfights on our hands. We've got the Royal Australian Air Force. Needs a 5 or less to hit, superscript of 3. That's a 9, so nothing doing there. Then the A6M, the fighter-based aircraft, or the carrier-based aircraft, gets a 6. It needed an 8 or less with a superscript of 4, so it will inflict a hit. We'll hit the Royal Army Air Force. All right, no other dogfights there. Oh, we forgot to move these guys. I'm so dumb. All right, the land-based aircraft would be moving to the Japanese Ocean, except they move to the coast as well. And the fighters, 5, they're staying to work over the island. That's great. Fortunately for us, though, they don't have... They can't use their dogfighting to work over the airfield. So that's something in our favor. Alright, so we just did the dogfighting there, so we're all done. Now we've got bombing runs. This is where we're going to be busy. Royal Army Air Force needs a 1 to hit. Not with a 10. Army Air Force Battle Bomber Group needs also a... What did we say? That's a... ground attack, so it actually needs a 2 or less. Actually, yeah. Well, a 7 wouldn't do anything anyway. 4th Kokutai and the 8th Sentai both need a 4 or less. We'll roll the 4th Kokutai first. That's a 5. Now for the 8th Sentai. That's a 6. Nothing doing there. Then we've got our carrier-based fighters here. The D3A. 6, nothing doing there. Another D3A. 6, nothing doing there. B5N needs a 2 or less. That's a 6, nothing happening there. Torpedoes, we don't have depth charges. Naval guns. So the Hyuga, so the cruiser groups, the cruiser and the battleship groups can work over the airfield as well, I believe. Right. Attack enemy ships in the coastal area and enemy island forces. Okay, so we've got the Hyuga with a 5 or less. That's a 4, so it will be inflicting a hit at least. And the Nagato Mutsu. A 6 will also be inflicting a hit because it needed a 6 or less. Then for the New Orleans Minneapolis, all the U.S. cruiser groups need a 4 or less. So first for the New Orleans Minneapolis, that's a 1, so we will be inflicting a hit as well. The Chicago Northampton, a 2 for another hit. And the San Francisco Astoria, that's a cocked die. I am going to re-roll that. That's a 5, so nothing doing there, which means we lose a cruiser group. But so do they. So we'll take out the... Actually, we have to inflict from lowest to highest, I believe. Yes, legal targets from lowest to highest value. So we have to... Actually, based on value, I think we can pick... Yeah, based on value, we can pick. So I'm going to take out the Nagato Mutsu, since that makes more sense. Taking out the higher value, taking out the stronger attack force. Then the infantry, the 55th Infantry is ashore. They have a, I have to remember, they have a +3 on infantry rolls, and they now attack with a superscript of a 2. So 7 superscript 2. That's a 6, so they'll inflict 1 hit on the U.S. airfields. Infantry advance, so they move into the, so the battalions move into the foxholes. Return aircraft, and I've already inflicted the aircraft hit. Now, does the aircraft get destroyed immediately after we would inflict... Yep, okay, so we're going to take out the Royal Army Air Force fighter group. And that's going to leave us in a very bad way coming out of the turn. Then we advance the turn counter. Now, they do keep the screening ship, but actually, yeah, they do keep the screening ship, so we'll put that to the side, and then the Japanese are still drawing 4 battle plans. That should be 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right, so that one is so one of these is a 44-45 battle plan, which means it shouldn't be in here. So we're going to pull one more out. Oh, they only get 3 battle plans. I've been drawing 4. So I've been making it harder on myself. Damage control to stop a hit. Another air combat, +3/+2 on dogfight and bomb rolls, and adjust the battle duration by 1. Which will cancel our engaged out, which will cancel our duration out. Moving U.S. aircraft, we don't have... I think we'll move that... I think we got to leave that over the islands to try to work over some of the stuff there. Japanese bombers, nothing we're rolling there. Actually, we do have some bombers that we need to roll for. Where's our die? All right, so the bombers aboard the Shokaku. 6 are moving over to the coastal area. The bomber aboard the Shoho would be moving to the U.S. Ocean, loops back to the Japanese Ocean. The Zuiho, 1 would be the Japanese Ocean, but it'll move to the coast. Then our land-based bombers, 9 are moving to the U.S. Ocean, but they're looping back to the Japanese Ocean. Japanese fighters, the fighter aboard the Shokaku, would be moving to the Japanese Ocean, but it'll move to the coast. Fighter aboard the Shoho would be moving to the U.S. Ocean, loops back to the Japanese Ocean. Fighter aboard the Zuiho, looping again. Then we've got the... Are there any other fighters that we have to move? Oh yes, we got to move our land-based fighters on the Japanese airfields. A 4 leaves them over the islands. They're going to be dogfighting. Well, there's not really any dogfighting to do, I don't think. Okay, so now we've got combat. We skip over dogfighting because we don't have anything to dogfight with. Anti-air. We've got our cruiser groups with anti-air. Both of them need a 2 or less. First up for the Chicago-Northampton cruiser group. 10, nothing happening there. The San Francisco Astoria. 4, no dice. All right, I don't think we have any other anti-air that we need to worry about. Nope. Bombing runs. Here's where we're going to be busy. We've got the... Actually, no, we're not going to be busy, I don't think. We'll start on the islands. The bomber group needs a 2. Actually, I believe I've been using that as ship attack value. Ground attack, so that actually is a 2. That is a 2, so we're going to inflict a hit on something. We're going to inflict a hit on... Well, the aircraft surface attack value. We're going to inflict a hit on the 55th Infantry. Let's see, then we've got the carrier-based craft, so the D3A's up first. They need a 4 or less to hit. That's a 4, so they'll be inflicting 1 hit at least. The other D3A needs a 4 or less as well. That's a 10, so thankfully nothing there. V5N needs a 6 or less. That's a 6, so we take out the Chicago Northampton. That is not good at all. No torpedoes, depth charts, naval guns. The VSA Hugo needs a 5 or less. That's a 4. We need a 4 or less for the San Francisco Astoria. That's a 7, so we just take a hit there. That's not good. Then infantry advance, except they're already in the foxhole. We return aircraft. Okay, inflict airfield losses, but we don't have any to inflict. And advance the turn counter, which we're going to use durations here to cancel those out. So it would increase, then we would cancel it out by decreasing the duration. So essentially it's going to stay as is, and before I go into my next battle, I need to take a small break. Japanese battle plans move off, and I suspect we'll be... Nope, we won't be refilling the cup. I thought we would be, but we will, well, we will be shortly. We get 3 battle plans out. Jeez. Ship combat again, +3/+2 on anti-air and naval gun rolls. Stop another hit inflicted on a carrier, and +1/+0 on all rolls for the Japanese. Wonderful. Just what I wanted to see. No aircraft to move for the U.S. Japanese bombers. The bombers aboard the Shokaku are moving to the U.S. Ocean, but they'll loop back to end up in the Japanese Ocean. Bomber aboard the Shoho. Oh wait, we got a state of work over the islands. Then the bomber aboard the Shoho, same thing. The Zuiho, also staying. Then these two are land-based. Phoenix, can't you get that straight? Oop, didn't mean to jar the camera either there. It's one of those days, I can tell. Our land-based aircraft that's already ashore is also doing the same thing. Then the fighters. First aboard the Shokaku. Repeat. Shoho. Shoho is actually moving to the coast. Which there's nobody there. Right? Well, doesn't really matter. There's no fighters for them anywhere. Then the fighter aboard the Zuiho is staying in the ocean as well. Then the land-based fighters would be moving to the Japanese Ocean, but they'd move to the coast. They're kind of going to be bored this round. Now we do combat. We skip through dogfighting. We do have anti-air, though. The cruiser group needs a 1 to hit anything, though. That's a 7, so it's not touching anything. And bombing runs. I don't think we have any bombing to do. We do actually have the Royal Australian Air Force. Bomber group needs a 2. That's a 4, so nothing happening there. No torpedoes, no depth charts, naval guns. The San Francisco Astoria needs a 2 or less. Nothing happening there. Then the Japanese need a 5 + 2 is a 7 or less. Actually, no. Yeah. That's a 3, so that'll take out the San Francisco Astoria. That's not great. Then the infantry gets a +1 on their attack rolls, so the battalions each need a 1. That's actually a 1 or a 2. So 2nd Battalion. Then the 55th Infantry needs a 3 or less. Which that is not. So that's something, I guess. Anyway, infantry advance. We return aircraft. Alright, no air losses and battle turn. Okay, nothing happened there, but I think the cup is not quite empty yet, but we will get our first battle plan here out. Then we'll have to redraw, which our first battle plan is to place a battalion on the island. Here's my battalion. And then the rest of these go in, and we need to draw 2 more plans out. Okay, so 2 more. Infantry combat +2 and +3 on all infantry rolls, and +3, +2 on dogfight and bombing rolls. Wonderful. U.S. aircraft, the bomber group's got to stay and work over the island. Then moving Japanese bombers. First, the bomber groups aboard the Shokaku are staying in the ocean, but they would actually move to the coast. Then the bomber group aboard the Shoho is also looping to the ocean. Aboard the Zuiho is moving to the coast because there's nobody in the Japanese Ocean. I didn't see anything in the rulebook that says they loop toward targets. I may be wrong on that, though. I'm probably wrong on a lot of things in this game, but as much as I'm really not enjoying this one so far, I'm probably not inclined to care, honestly. And the fighter aboard the Shokaku. Not that there's anything for them to dogfight anyway. The Zuiho is moving to the island. Again, nothing for them to dogfight, so they'd move to the coast. Actually, no, I've been doing that wrong this whole time. They moved to the island first, then to the coast. Ay, ay, ay. All right. Oh, we forgot to move the Japanese land-based bombers. They would move to the U.S. Ocean, but looping back to the Japanese Ocean. And the land-based fighters. Again, there's nothing for them to dogfight here, so they don't even really care. Skip through dogfighting. Anti-air, nothing going on there. Bombing runs, the only bombing run we have is ours. We need a 2 to inflict anything. Nope. No depth charges. Naval guns, I believe, can attack enemy island forces. Okay, so the Hyuga needs a 5 or less. That's a 6. Nothing. Oh, wait. Nope, never mind. Okay, so we're fine there. Now we're into infantry attacks. So the battalion needs a 4 or less and sub-superscript of a 2. That's a 10 for the 1st battalion, 2nd battalion, 3rd battalion. That'll be 2 hits, which will actually, either way it does it. We'll take out the Royal Australian Air Force, but either way, the Japanese have taken over New Guinea. So with that, we can bring everything back over. We can bring everything back over once I finish getting these stupid U.S. Once I finish getting these stupid U.S. land-based aircraft chits restacked, we can move back over to the main area. Our last battle would be in Borneo, but I'm going to spend longer setting that battle up than I will resolving it. So and plus, like I said, I'm not having fun with this game anyway. So we're going to pretend that the only U.S. battalion there just gets absolutely flattened. Because, like I said, I'm going to spend way more time setting that battle up than I will actually playing it out. So we're going to move everything ashore. Plus, I mean, just look at this. It's not even an objective, so I don't think there was any point in trying to fight hard for it anyway. So I think in the interest of time, since I'm looking at, since this is going to be not a terribly long video, but it's going to be a long one. But I think in the interest of time, I'm just going to call Borneo a complete loss. All right, so the Japanese reinforcement roll, they get a +1 because they had a resupply order in. They had a resupply from a hold order. A 9 + 1 is 10. So they get, I believe those go to, for each damaged Japanese force, we don't have any on the map. So 10. So we moved the indicated number of units to Japan, so 2 of each. 2 ships, 2 infantry, and 2 land-based aircraft. All right, U.S. return to port. I believe that's every ship that we had out there, not in the Hawaiian Islands, back to the port box. So we've got to move these. Okay, there's a series of 3. Okay, during the... Right. So we advance them there. Then we advance each stack of ships 1 box closer to Hawaii. So this stack of ships would become available. This stack would move to 1942 to 45. All right. From the other areas of the map to the last box you're using. Okay, so we've got all that. Then we've got to check to make sure each of my areas with infantry or land-based aircraft is in supply. Looks like we can trace supply line everywhere. I'm going to pull all these moved markers off because I expect... Alright, so those are all gone. Alright, so everything looks to be in supply. Yep. I'll move that out of the way. Everything's in supply. Then we go through defeat check, where we have to see if the U.S. is reduced to holding the number of objectives listed for the replaced evaluation at the end of any campaign turn, we immediately lose the campaign. We are only holding 4 objectives right now. We do have 5 that we're still holding. We're still holding the Solomon Islands, New Caledonia, Samoa, the Hawaiian Islands. Is that an objective or no? That is an objective. Wait. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, never mind. So we are still holding 5 objectives, but... And then the Hawaiian Islands condition. We don't have anything in the Hawaiian Islands, but we definitely have units threatening there. We definitely have units that are threatening. We've actually got threats from Midway and from the Gilbert Islands, both. But, so then we would loop to the start of the next campaign turn, but I think I'm just going to tap out here. If I was having more fun, I'd probably keep going with this, but as it is, I think there's just too much here. Maybe I need to spend more time with this game, but honestly, no. It seems like it feels to me like it takes too long to resolve battles. And when you end up with a battle like we were going to face in Borneo, where we have one lone infantry unit against basically just the book being thrown at us, it's just, to me, I mean, yes, it's thematically accurate, but ultimately we had to make the hard decisions here, and I think part of my problem too is I've never really warmed up to these what I term grand strategy games, where it's kind of everything zoomed out at a 10,000 foot view. I wanted to try this one because I've heard a lot of good things about it, but honestly for me, it just didn't prove to be a big hit. Like I said, I think I like the games a lot more where you're kind of zoomed in. You're at the tactical level, so you're in charge of the sub, maybe a sub squadron, or you're in charge of a plane. You're in charge of a plane, or again, plane squadron. Something like that, where you're kind of zoomed in a little bit more on the war. I don't like these 10,000-foot view games. So I think this one's probably going to be another one that's leaving my collection. Yes, you'll hear about it again later tonight on my top 100 board games of all time when I'm live with Jester and Higher Ground Gaming. But I would look for this game to fall, if not completely leave my list next year. But that will do it for this playthrough of Fleet Commander Nimitz, and this year's Tac Up Wargaming List is underway. Another busy week coming up on the channel. Wednesday we're playing our last game for the month as we head to the boxing ring for a bout in Glory Days Boxing. On a related note, Thursday I'm expecting to have the end of February recap. Saturday we'll be starting into a new cookbook for Mystical Munchies, but again, more on that during the end of February recap. As for next week, we're heading back to the hockey rink for an old favorite as we play APA Hockey. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.